بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه وبعد. Indeed, ikhwan, as we hear these verses from the verses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we come to this, the end of Surah Baqarah, indeed Allah Azza wa Jal has mentioned at the end of these verses that which indicates, after all of the ahkam that are present within Surah Baqarah, from that which is related to Allah Azza wa Jal informing us of the Yahud and the people of the book, and Allah Azza wa Jal informing us concerning the Nasara and their history, Allah Azza wa Jal informing us of Salah and Zakah and Hajj and Nikah, and other than that from the various things that have been legislated, and Allah mentioning that which is related to that which we are in the middle of, and that is as-siyam. And the fact that siyam has been legislated upon you, fasting has been legislated upon you, كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون, just as it was legislated upon those who came before you that you may receive piety. After all of these ahkam and nikah and talaq and other than that, Allah Azza wa Jal ends and seals the surah with these beautiful verses. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت. Indeed, Allah Azza wa Jal does not put a greater burden upon a soul than it can bear. لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت. For it is what it has earned, and upon it is what it has earned. That is, for every single soul that soul receives what it has earned. Every righteous action that it performs, it will be recorded. It is not, and it will never be lost. And every sin that he performs, every act of mukhalafa and opposition to that which Allah Azza wa Jalla has commanded, it too is recorded. لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت. And then Allah Azza wa Jalla informs us of a dua, supplication that the believers make, which is a dua that Allah Azza wa Jalla has accepted. ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا. That Allah Azza wa Jalla has mentioned the supplication of the believers, O Allah, ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا. O our Lord, don't take us to account if we forget, إن نسينا أو أخطأنا, or we make a mistake. As far as the first section of those verses, Allah Azza wa Jal mentions that which is related to the fact that Allah will not place a greater burden upon a soul than it can bear. And that is pertinent, ikhwan, for us during this time and in this part of, or in this hemisphere that we're in, where our fasting days are as long as they are. For indeed, Al-Imām Ash-Shatibi rahimahullah ta'ala, in his great book Al-Muwafaqat, he speaks about the nature of the Sharia and how Allah Azza wa Jal, when he legislates that which is in accordance with that which mankind is ordinarily acquainted with. It is not from the sunnah of Allah Azza wa Jal, and it is not a praiseworthy act to go beyond bounds in relation to seeking closeness to Allah. The more we harm ourselves, the more we punish ourselves, then the nearer we draw to Allah Azza wa Jal. That is not how Allah Azza wa Jal legislated the Sharia. The ahkam of the Sharia are in accordance, as Imām Shatibi mentions, are in accordance with that which mankind is ordinarily acquainted with, from the general nature in which one exerts himself through his day-to-day affairs. And so the legislation of the ahkam revolve around that which one is ordinarily acquainted with. And now, na'am, the days are long. But ikhwan, we now have and we hear how beneficial it is to practice intermittent fasting, and that a 20-hour fast is better than a 16-hour fast. And that for those who wish to rectify their health and what have you, this intermittent fasting is a good healthy option. And the longer you can fast for, in fact some suggest a 24-hour fast. Not for religious reasons, but for health-related benefits. The one who practices that, they say, at least twice a week, then they receive numerous benefits returning back to their health, and will race to perform those actions because we believe we'll lose a few pounds if we do so. But here Allah Azza wa Jal has legislated that which is lighter, because even in this hemisphere, we only fast, ikhwan, for 18 hours, not a 20-hour fast as they suggest. But if it were then that an individual were to say that if you were to abstain from food for a week or 2 weeks, a month even, and the only thing that you can eat is a cup of water a day and a small morsel of food per day for per 24-hour period, and then at the end of that period you receive 20,000 pounds, mathalan. Not only would we not hear these claims of how it's harmful to one's health and whatnot, but we would see a barrage, ikhwan, of individuals signing up for the 20,000 pound challenge. And you would see it all over YouTube. And then you would see a list of those who were successful in completing it. And those who would speak about their experience throughout the month of a cup of water and a morsel or a handful of food for the 20,000 pounds. And now I have my new car and I have my new doodads. That we would do for 20,000 pounds. But what is that in comparison to that which Allah Azza wa Jal has mentioned from the reward of Jannah? And that which Allah Azza wa Jal has prepared. And the fact that the lowest person in Jannah has 10 times the dunya wa ma fiha. 10 times. The lowest man. To the extent that he will say, oh, you are the Lord, Ya Rabb al-Alameen. La tastahzi'u bi. Don't ridicule me, don't joke with me. 10 times the dunya, the lowest man, the last man out of the nar. And so as it relates to the sil'ah of Allah Azza wa Jalla, and that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prepared for the believers, ikhwan, these days of abstaining from food and drink, the believer, he loves that. And if he makes a mistake and he makes an error, then he knows that he has a Lord that is Rahim. رَبَّنَا لَا تُؤَاخِذْنَا إِن نَسِينَا أَوْ أَخْطَأْنَا. Oh our Lord, don't take us to account if we forget or we make a mistake. And as occurs in that hadith Qudsi in Sahih Muslim, Allah Azza wa Jal mentions قَدْ فَعَلْتَ, that indeed I have done so. رَبَّنَا لَا تُؤَاخِذْنَا إِن نَسِينَا أَوْ أَخْطَأْنَا رَبَّنَا لَا تَحْمِلْ عَلَيْنَا إِصْرًا كَمَا حَمَلْتَهُ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِنَا. Oh our Lord, don't place upon us a burden and a difficulty that is, or a hardship that you, similar to that which you placed upon those who came before us. And Allah Azza wa Jal mentions, قَدْ فَعَلْتَ, indeed I have done so. رَبَّنَا وَلَا تُحَمِّلْنَا مَا لَا طَاقَةَ لَنَا بِهِ. And oh Allah, don't place upon us a burden that we have no ability to carry. وَاعْفُ عَنَّا, and pardon us. وَاغْفِرْ لَنَا, and forgive us. وَارْحَمْنَا, and have mercy upon us. أَنْتَ مَوْلَانَا, you indeed are our patron. You indeed are our Mawla. Anta Mawlana. You are our patron. And so protect us against a qawmun kafirin, a people who are a disbelieving folk. Not then, ikhwan, a beautiful end to a surah that is azima jiddan. Something, ikhwan, for us to no doubt reflect upon throughout these days of Ramadan. نسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى وفقنا وإياكم لما يحبه ويرضاه وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد.